Welcome to the Plant-Free MD podcast with Dr. Anthony Chaffee, where we discuss diet and nutrition and how this affects health and chronic disease, and show you how you can use this to optimize your health and happiness, both mentally and physically. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Anthony Chaffee from the Plant-Free MD podcast, and today my guest is Mr. Dave Daley, who I've been speaking to online and been getting friendly with for the last sort of year or so now. Dave, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, we've been connected for a while, and I've been following your stuff. And like I said before we even jumped on here, love the hustle, man. Love the drive. And I see what you're doing, and you've come a long way in a very short period of time.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's it's just nice to get the information out there and and it's nice to see that people are appreciating it and using it in their lives, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So that's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
So, Dave, can you just, for people that don't know who you are, can you just give us a brief background and just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah. So, I always start from the very, very beginning. I was adopted at 18 months old. My first 18 months, I was in an orphanage in North Philly. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Jersey, Philadelphia area. I was in an orphanage for first 18 months of my life, and then was adopted by two amazing human beings. And, growing up, I was left back in the second grade, diagnosed with ADD, said I had a learning disorder, never graduated high school. At 19. I'm sitting in a jail cell looking at 8 to 10 if things didn't go my way. So I grew up where grew up with a push-pull. The society and the getting educational system said there must be something wrong with him, right? He can't concentrate. I just want to be outside playing sports, getting physical. That was my thing, not being stuck in a classroom. It just wasn't my thing. But my mom never bought into it. So she was always my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. So when I had the people trying to pull me down that were the professionals, she never once winced, never once. She just said, he's a little boy. That's what they do, So it was interesting. But over the last 20 plus years, I've been fortunate enough to have built and sold 3 companies in 3 different industries, and also crashed one to the ground. Yeah. So when I speak from stages, I always say to everyone, I said, listen, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A after this, and raise your hands, don't lie, because I'm going to know if you're lying. How many people here want to know why I'm sitting in a jail cell at 19, looking at 8 to 10 years, and what business did I crash to the ground, right? So I love addressing that, because they were they're things that I was taught, that there's not a university in this world that could have taught me the things that I learned going through those times.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for actually doing things and experiencing things and making mistakes. The most successful people in the world talk about not their successes, but their mistakes. I've made thousands and thousands and thousands of errors that they've then learned from. And that's, and you can go to school and you can sort of learn from other people's mistakes and how they came around it. But at some point you need to make your own mistakes. And that's when you learn the most. Yeah.
I always say that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? That the wisdom, like if me and you were sitting with a 85-year-old, ex-military war veteran, and he started to share stories, we would just sit and listen, right? Just sit and absorb it. And you can't get that anywhere else, right? That's the real world. So that's what I love to embrace. And that's why I realized once they kicked me out of high school, I had the entrepreneurial DNA, right? I love once I can tie into that creative energy, that creative juices, for me, it doesn't get any better.
That's awesome. Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the carnivore bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products that will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right. Thanks, guys. So
Yeah.
what's your business now? Like, what are you doing now
So I have a fire restoration business out here in Southern California, San Diego, and also a canine supplement company. And it's going to tie in. I'll share some things because it ties in with what we're going to be talking about, the carnivore world, right? Because interesting enough, back in 2002 to 2005, I had an American Bulldog Pit Bull that I competed with up and down the East Coast, agility, weight pull, fight work, hardest hitting contest, you name it. We did it, and we won he won all kinds of awards, but he had some internal issues, right? His nails would rip off when we worked him, his gums would bleed, and I found out that there were some issues. Once I got him introduced to the raw diet, the barf diet, right, which is raw animal fat, animal protein, straight raw, and green tripe, which is the stomach. Okay, within 1 month, his nails hardened up, his teeth got better. So you can't. That's not placebo, right? You can't. That is what it is. That's as real as it gets. And I'm gonna share my own experience going from keto to carnivore. It was just phenomenal. But so now I created some supplements that actually mimic the raw diet. So there's a lot of people out there, a lot of dog owners, breeders that don't know about the raw diet, don't have the resources for the raw diet, don't have the budget for the raw diet. So now we create the raw diet on the go. So we have organ meats, bone marrow, bone broth, whole eggs. It's awesome, man.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And and that does play right into it. Did you figure that out with your dog before or after coming to carnivore?
No, this was probably 2004,
Oh,
three.
right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he was having issues, and I got introduced to this, and it was interesting. Where I was living in New Jersey at the time, and when I got introduced to the one guy, he actually had a slaughterhouse down in South Jersey, and part of his contracts were he had contracts with the Philadelphia Zoo, Great Adventure for the lions and the tigers and all that. So he wound up creating his own mixologies from the beef and the organ meats and the tripe and the tripe is that green tripe is literally Mother Nature's multivitamin. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah. Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then what brought you into a carnivore diet as well? How long have you been doing that? And what made you switch over?
So I'll give everyone a little bit more behind the black curtain. So I've been an athlete my whole life, right? Like I said, I always wanted to be outside doing something physical than being in a classroom. And started wrestling in the fourth grade, and I've been working out my whole adult life. I mean, I love it. I love it. To the point where when I had my last house in New Jersey, I put up a 30 by 15 building. And for the first 2 years, I had no heat in there. So in those New Jersey winters, right, 2 hoodies, 2 sweatpants, and going in there through the snow, going in this building and training. My wife at the time, she goes, why? I said, I love it. I love it. So I've always been into that world. I was a personal trainer for a little while back in New Jersey. I owned a sports nutrition store out here when I moved to San Diego. So it's been my world, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't gamble. I say I'm as boring as you can get, but I wouldn't change it for anything. So I've always been in tune with that. How do I make it better? What can I do? And literally, I think it was I would have to say about 3 years ago, I do my morning routine, and I have a 2 hour morning routine. I wake up between 4 and 4:30, 7 days a week, and I'm ready to get on the treadmill. And I go, there's something I can make this better. I can make this better. And when I say make this better, and initially I'm thinking, the physical part, right? Because I thought that the mental clarity was as good. It was, I thought I was really good, right? So long story short, I start doing a little bit of investigating, and then I stumble onto the infamous Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan clip, right? So I said, that's it. I'm gonna try this. And literally, so I put this plan together, put the meal plan together, and said I'm going to start it on Monday like everyone does, right? So I start this on Monday, and this is not even an exaggeration. Wednesday morning, I'm in my kitchen. It's 5 a.m. I go, holy shit. I feel really, really good mentally, like clarity, like 3 days. And it's not someone coming from, listen, I love to eat. I grew up, I have a huge appetite. Italian food is what I grew up with, right? I love to eat, and I used to just love cheat days. Okay. So, and nothing ever curbed my appetite. Nothing. So that Wednesday, 3 days later, I go, this is wild. Literally that Friday, 5 days from when I went full carnivore, just muscle meats and whole eggs. Okay. It's the first time in my life that I literally didn't have any cravings. It was bizarro world to me. Like I've never, and in that, and this is also coming from a guy that probably 2 years before that did the raw juice. I got the commercial juicer. I got the beets, right? I'm talking for like 2.5, 3 months every morning. Boom, 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 bringing it with me. Nothing, right? No change, nothing. And the carnivore is just absolutely game changing. And I was just like, I have to figure out why I have no cravings. This is insane. Like, this is wild. And then obviously now, I know that the animal protein, the animal fat, especially the red meats, just satiate you like nothing. Like it just your body takes it in like a sponge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And so, since you've been doing that, so it's been 3 years now. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I would say 3 years. Yeah.
And so, how have you been feeling long term with that? Has it had any
unbelievable, dude. I just turned 56 in September, and I always this is my mindset. My mindset is the age that I'm at, the current age I'm at, I'm redefining that age. So I'm redefining that 56, right? From what society believes. So give you a little example. One of the things that I do is, so I do my morning routine. I have my meditation time. I have my writing time, and then I have my workout, which is the X3. My man John Jackwish, love him, man, love him. That's been a game changer too. And I love to talk about resistance training, especially for women, right? Because they're so misled with this other nonsense. Okay, so but at the end of after my full body workout, then I do a full body stretch. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I do is I test myself. After my stretch, I lay down completely flat out, and I get up without using my upper body. Boom, on both sides. To me, that's like it's just, I want to keep that youthful mobility, that youthful quality of life, right? So when you can lay flat down and actually get up on your feet without using your hands, your arms, your upper body, to me, it's just, it's just like if there was ever a sport that I wish I would have been introduced to, it would have been men's gymnastics. I just think it's absolutely phenomenal.
I would have thought so too. Like that was you always look at those guys. Those guys are jacked. They're absolutely just physical specimens, you know?
They're physical, and you know
Yeah.
who else? You know who else I think are probably the elite athletes, and it's never looked at it that way. And if you've never seen any of these shows live, Circus Delay.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, dude, you're talking 2 shows a night, 6 nights a week.
Yeah. Well, a lot of
Yeah,
those, yeah, a lot of those gymnasts go into
yes,
Cirque du Soleil, you know, is that,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's just,
what are you going to do with that
yeah,
skill set? You know, it's
it's
like, yeah,
phenomenal, right? It's phenomenal.
yeah.
But so that's where we're at, and it's been an absolute game changer to the point where I started helping people and training people and putting them through my programs when it came to the carnivore. So yeah, I mean, I've had amazing success stories with women going through menopause, women that just had so bad their digestive tract was so bad that they would when they this was and I have before and afters and video, right, of testimonials that when they were out to they had to go out to one was a realtor and one owns a very successful skin rejuvenation and skin hair removal in Beverly Hills and in Texas now too. That they when they would go out to events like professional events, they would have to make sure they knew where the bathrooms were.
Mm,
That's how bad it was. With one within a week and a half gone, the other one within a month gone.
yeah.
Yeah, just it's yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's very, freeing in a lot of ways. And it's just like it just changes your body in so many ways. You're better.
In your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I tell people is they say, listen, look, do we all want abs? Yeah. Do we want to be ripped? Of course, right? But what I realized so fast in that 3 day period, the physical became the byproduct so quickly because of my mental clarity.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
my mental clarity was just like I couldn't believe it. And I'm going from keto,
Yeah.
right? But I also I went from keto, but came from the bodybuilding keto, which means low animal fat,
Right. Yeah.
right? So you're eating the vegetables and the salads with the chicken breast, right? And you're choking that nonsense down, pretending that you like it, right?
Yeah. I
It's
never liked that
it's
stuff.
cardboard.
Yeah.
But then I learned that, man, I'm losing all that, right? That animal fat is the magic.
Mhm. No, it is. It makes such a big difference, you know.
Ah,
And yeah, I've noticed that even the difference between, you know, when I was doing this, you know, 20 years ago or something like that, um, I was still in that era of like, oh, you know, you need to eat lean meat. And I
yeah,
remember having different you know, periods where I would, like, there'd be a sale on ribeye or something like that. And I'd stock up and I'd get like
yeah,
30 steaks, you know, like ribeye. And literally once it was like this really crazy sale at the grocery store. It was like $1.60 a pound for ribeye. I filled up the cart. I kept taking steaks until the butcher was like, "Hey, leave some for someone else." Oh, right, you know, I was just like, felt like I was stealing, you know, and
yeah.
it's like it was so cheap. I was eating ribeyes. You know, I was a, you know, broke college student. I was eating ribeyes like every day for a month. That was like the best month of my life. You know, I just felt so much better, so much more energy, so much more, you know, zest for working out and training and for school as well. So even though I felt amazing all the time, I distinctly remember that period where I just had a lot of ribeyes all the time. Like that was definitely by far the best. And now as well, people have different sorts of issues. A lot of them will stem from not eating enough fat because they're so worried about fat. They're so worried about how that can be harmful. It can cause weight gain, or it can cause heart issues or whatever. And
Man.
and then when you get them over that hump and they start eating more fat, they're like, wow, my energy's improved, my hair's improved, my skin's improved, all of these different things improve as well. So yeah, that fat really makes a big difference.
Oh, it's huge. And especially the women, man, they've been so
Mhm.
misled that it's insane to me, between the nutrition and the lack of, and then living, if they think they want to get in shape, they live on the treadmills or the bikes and the cardio instead of the resistance training that's going to build and maintain lean muscle and bone density. It's just been misled all the way around the block. And what I tell people when I start to preach this is they feel my passion, they feel my energy, they see what it's done to me. But I tell them this, I go, don't take my word for any of this. I go, this is so simple to figure out. Go onto YouTube, go in, and if I'm talking to a woman, I'll say, go onto YouTube and say carnivore results women. And I say, go a step further. Make sure whoever you're watching, okay, isn't selling anything on the back end. All they did was turn their video camera on and gave their actual results with nothing. There's no ulterior motive. I said, it can't get any more real than that. You're talking about, like, there's videos out there of girls an Asian girl that was a vegan from 16 or 14 to 19, and she stopped getting her period,
Mm.
right? And within 3 months it came back. Another girl in her 30s, right? That's hormone, you know better than anybody. That's internal, that's hormonal, that's enormous.
Yeah. Well, it's huge. I mean, even just losing your ability to procreate, your fertility in your period, that's a sign that there's something major going on.
Ooh, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And so,
yes.
hormonal health, fertility health, your that aspect of your life, if that starts going wrong, that's a sign of deeper things. And because if your body's saying that there is enough going wrong, it's like, hey, it's not safe to have a kid now. This isn't going to work.
Yeah, and it's the lights going on in for your engine light, right? There's signs, just like the IBS. And I was telling these women, I said, your digestive tract is only going to put up with so much, right? It's only going to put up with so much, and then all of a sudden things are going to start to really fall apart. But the biggest thing is between, from what I've seen, is between the animal fat, the animal protein, and the resistance training. Once they start to incorporate that, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah. And that's something that you've been doing. Obviously, you've been working out for a very long time. So you're sort of ahead of the game. But a lot of people would say that, once you get into your 40s or 50s and beyond, you can't build muscle. You can't, even on a
Um,
carnivore diet. It's like, oh, no. You'll be able to maintain, but what about building muscle?
no, I mean, it's just simply not true, right? It's just not true. And if you it's all about I always say this, it's always about figuring out what your goals are and then reverse engineering, right? Then reverse engineering. But at the end of the day, and here's the other thing I tell people, don't take my word for it. Just do it. Just commit to 1 month,
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
you decide. Just commit to 1 month out of your life, right? And this is people that I'm talking to that reached out to me when I was posting things on Instagram and said, hey, could you help me? So I started to put some programs together. And this is people that were having major issues. Like, if you can't go to a public event without knowing where the bathroom is, that's a problem. So
Yeah.
so I shouldn't have to talk you into trying something for a month, right? That might be able to turn this around, because at the end of the day, this is our only vehicle, right? To get us through this lifetime. And as far as I know, we don't get to turn it in to get a new one, right? We have this. This is So it's just on the flip side, it's just mind boggling to me that not everyone wants to do this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then some people will say that from that same vantage is like, well, you only live once, so you might as well enjoy it. As if, just these carnal pleasures of just eating crap and drinking and doing drugs, like that's what true enjoyment of life is, and you live 60 years less and you're sick half of that,
It,
like,
it,
yeah, like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But and you know what I say when they say that is you're absolutely right. You only live once, so why not enjoy it? And I guess what's your definition of enjoyment, right? It's clarity. It's sleeping like a rock, waking up. Here's what I say. I say this all the time. This is so simple to figure out. If you're not going to bed looking forward to the morning, your shit's broke.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be.
I do. I can't wait for that between 4 and 4:30. And I say between 4 and 4:30, my alarm's set at 4:30. If I wake up at 4, I'm good. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this, man. Let's
Yeah.
do this. Yeah. And it's so interesting, man. I was introduced to something just last week and I just started to implement this, and it's been way more of a game changer than I even remotely expected. So what he suggested to me, he says, listen, man, he says, here's what I want you to do for 1 month. I said, what? He said, I want you to set your alarm for, and every hour it to go off at the same time. So 4:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m., all the way until you're ready to go to bed. And he said, when that alarm goes off, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing and pay attention. Don't manipulate it, but just pay attention to your breathing and get centered for 1 minute and do it. And so I've been doing that for a week now.
Mhm.
And here's one of the biggest aha things. You cannot believe how fast it goes. Like like when that next alarm goes off, you're like, I felt like that just happened 2 minutes ago. It puts into perspective, when you do that, at the end of the day, you're like, holy shit, is this fast?
Mhm.
Oh my God. I didn't expect that. Like, it's really fast. And what I tell people too is my dad, so when I was adopted, they adopted me when they were in their middle 40s. So they were 2 generations ahead. They were real like my grandparents' age, right? So my dad passed away Black Friday 2015 at 90, a month away from his 92nd birthday. Okay. World War II vet. And he said to me, he died of throat cancer. So we knew he had limited time, right? So we were talking, and he said, I go, 92. I go, how does it feel? He goes, Dave, I swear to God. He goes, I feel like I blinked my eye. I go, really? He goes, I can't believe it.
Mm.
I just can't believe it. And so getting back to what you were saying, like people say you only live once. I know, but why not live it? And the other thing too is when you're talking about those vices, I always say to people, listen, you're either doing one of two things, right? You're either escaping or embracing. What are you doing in life? Are you escaping or are you embracing? Right? Are you a victim or are you a victor? Because when you're embracing, you're not there. Victims never win, right? So when you're embracing, you're creating that victory, that strength, that inner power. Or are you trying to escape, right? Whether it's junk food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whatever that is, right? Gambling. You're either embracing or you're. But the beautiful thing about life, man, is we get the choice. That's what I love.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right. You want to embrace your life. and enjoy
Yeah.
to the fullest. Like, so why would you want to hurt yourself? Why would you want to shorten that? Why would you want to be sick? Why would you want to miss half of it? Like I would rather, you only have one life, so get the most out of it. Get 120 years of peak physical and mental health and enjoy your time here. And yeah, I think there's, if you're only enjoying, getting drunk and eating garbage food, like, I'm sorry, but like you're not really seeing all that
No.
life has to offer.
And here's the other thing, whatever you believe in, right? Whatever this creation is, whatever this higher power is, it doesn't matter. We all have to agree that this, along with this computer, along with this physical vehicle, is the greatest gift you can, the greatest, right? So
Yeah.
whatever it is that you believe in, it's the same scenario as if you gifted me a private jet, and a year later you come onto my private jet, stuff's falling down, the carpet's ripped, the seats are ripped, right? There's a flat tire. You gifted me that Lear jet,
Yeah.
and this is what you've seen, right? You gifted me another Lear jet. I don't think so.
No.
Right. It's kind of like I'm putting in that perspective. This is the ultimate gift. So one of the things that happened to me in life was about 25 years ago, I had a really bad motorcycle accident. I was up in Vermont and I was going around these windy roads in the mountain. I lost control, hit a boulder. This is where my helmet broke, split the helmet, broke everything on this side, punctured a lung, ICU for a few days. And the doctor said the way I hit, back then I was doing, I was a lot bigger than I am now, and I competed in some local strongman contests and did some powerlifting and stuff. So I had a lot of muscle tissue built up on my traps and my neck. But the way I hit, if I didn't have if didn't take that impact like that with the cushion, I probably would have been either paralyzed or dead. And that really woke me up to like, wow, this could be over so quick, or this can change so quick. And even from that point, when I go somewhere, if I go to the mall, if I go to the bank, if I go to the grocery store, I specifically park far away so I can walk. Yeah, because just the idea of walking. What's interesting about Southern California, dude, is I think that all you have to do is fog up a mirror to get a handicap sticker, right? I swear to God, it's unbelievable. Yeah, like I did a video one morning when I was training at the gym. I counted 12 spots of handicap. At 6 a.m, every spot was filled every single day, and I don't see a cane. I don't see a walker. I don't see a wheelchair. I said, give me something. Give me something here. You guys are literally now think about that. They're identifying as a handicapped person when they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, we used to have, that's the thing too. You're identifying as someone who has a disability,
Yes.
but you don't have a disability. And there
You're
are people
taking that
that do
identity
have a
on, and
disability.
then you're also taking their spot.
That's it. I mean, there are people that actually have disabilities,
Yes.
and it was actually, I felt so bad. Like my buddy like parked in a handicap spot, like by this apartment. We were going to be in there for 5 minutes. I was like, oh, there are spots. Like, oh, we're only going to be there for a second. No one parks here anyway. Literally, like right then, like we go in, we're 2 minutes, we're out the door, and this guy parks in, like, the only thing there was like prospective, renter sort of thing. Guy's in a wheelchair, and I'm just like, oh my God, I knew this was gonna happen. And my buddy's just like, oh, and the guy's like wheeling off. He's like, oh, don't worry, I'm not a prospective renter either. So, and it's just like, God damn it, and like, but that's it, you're identifying something, but you're not that, you're not handicapped. Now people are going to the further extent, and this is real. This is not a new thing. It's not a new phenomenon that people would ask for this, but this is new that people are actually taking this seriously and supporting this sort of behavior. People identify as disabled and with a specific disability, and so they cripple themselves on purpose, or they try to get a doctor to cripple them for them. Like maybe they say like, well, I think that I identify someone who has like a, like a T6 lesion and spinal cord injury. And they look it up. They look up what sort of disabilities you have, what you would be able to do, what you wouldn't be able to do. And they're like, that's what I want. I don't know why you would want that, but this is what they identify, like that's who I am. That's my identity. And they act like it. And then they try to get you like, I want you to sever my spine here. And it's like, absolutely not. And those, some people try to injure themselves that way. I just read an article where this poor young woman identified as someone who was blind and was trying to live that way and everything like that. And she wanted to get a doctor to do that. And I think she actually, for some God only knows reason, she convinced someone to help her with this. And they came up with this plan of basically putting in some sort of like lye or something like that in her eye, some sort of toxic element and then waiting, for past the point of no return before she called the ambulance and they came and washed this out. So she was permanently blinded from this. And this poor girl was then like now living as this blind person. Now she really was blind, and her whole family and all her friends basically disowned her, said like, you're not, when they found out that it was
intentional.
It was intentional. And so she was saying, oh, this is an accident. They're like, oh my God, you poor thing. Oh, this poor thing. And so she, eventually it came out that she actually did this on purpose, and her family was just like, we're not forgiving you for this one. But at the same time, she was living as a blind person, and she's saying, I've never been happier. This is the happiest I've ever been. There's something, well, okay, fine. I'm glad she's happy with her decision because it's a big thing to change. I don't know how long that's going to last, and I don't know how beneficial that's going to be for her long term. And I can't help but think there's some sort of psychiatric issues that may be coming in here that maybe could have been addressed professionally and kept her vision.
Yeah. And that's and as you know, right, that's a whole another animal when we're talking about the processed food and the big pharma matrix that we're all living in. And in the last 40 years, it's 10x. In the last 20 years, it's 20x. And it seems like every 10 years, it just compounds. It's interesting, man. When I love people watching, and when I'm out, I constantly look and I'm like, God, there's a victim of this society, right? They can't even get up out of a chair. They believe that 60 years old is old, that they should feel all banged up and beat up and not be able to sleep and not. It's just I don't know. Have you seen the story of Dana White, the president of the UFC?
I mean, I know of him. I don't know.
Okay, so he's got the newest story out where he got referred to Gary Baca. If you know Gary. Okay, so anyway, long story short, lives pretty much a lot and teaches a lot like we're talking about, a little more keto than just straight carnivore. But Dana was having all kinds of issues, and they had him on these meds, and it was so bad that every single night, he said, he would wake up in the middle of the night throwing up.
Wow.
Yeah, like just insane stuff. Anyway, so we got introduced to Gary, and Gary said, man, he put him on this oxygen thing, this clean oxygen, and then got him his blood work done. This is what it was. He got his blood, this is where it all started. Dana heard about this guy that if they do this certain blood work, he'll give you and he's accurate within a month and a half of how long you're going to live, right? And what your life expectancy is. He said to Dana, when they got the blood work back, they sat down with him, and he said, you have 10 years and 11 months or something like that to live if you keep moving towards this direction. And he says, and I can look at your blood work and I can tell you that you got this issue, that. And Dana's like, that's exactly what's going on with me. So anyway, long story short, he's down 30 pounds. He's off the what is that when they snore, that machine?
Sleep apnea. Yeah.
The sleep apnea, the CPAP. He's off at that. He's off his meds. He's 30 pounds down. He says he never felt better. And he said, I can't believe how good I feel. And Gary said, because this is how you're supposed to feel. This is our right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That was what, when like 5 years ago, when I came back onto carnivore, I remember just feeling that contrast, just got rid of the plants and just started eating a lot more meat. And I just felt so much better right away. I was already, doing keto. Basically, I was only eating vegetables and meat, but lean meat. And I wasn't eating enough of it. And so by eating enough meat and then just getting rid of the plants, I just felt so much better. And I remember looking back in my life and basically those 5 years, my early 20s, where I had done this inadvertently because I was just not eating plants. And now when I felt like this, those are only 2 periods that I felt like that. And I realized that's how you're supposed to feel. And I realized that the rest of my life, I felt like garbage. And it really pissed me off because I was like, I've been robbed of my birthright. I should have felt like this from day one. I should have developed better. I should be 6 inches taller, 50 pounds heavier, and smarter. My brain should be bigger. And, that really bothered me. And I should feel like this. I should never have had a day where I didn't feel like this. And, that's why I'm just so passionate about it. And I talk to people and I say, well, I'd be interested in trying carnivore, but like, I don't really have any medical issues. I don't really have any health issues. I actually feel pretty good. So, I don't need to do it. And I always say to them, I was like, you don't know just how bad you feel.
Yes.
Because you don't
and how
have
good you're
contrast.
supposed to feel.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Because
You
you
know
don't
what else?
realize. Yeah.
You know what else is interesting too? Is what the carnivore revealed to me? Growing up in the United States, we believe we're the elite of, like the country, like there's third world countries and growing up, you're like, God, how lucky am I to be living in this country, right? And we feel so blessed. My girlfriend's from Brazil, right? So she grew up, born and raised in Brazil. And what I realized was how lucky these kids are, majority of them growing up in third world countries where they're literally living farm to table, like getting their eggs right from the chicken, killing the chicken. Everything is farm to table and you brought in that day, caught that day, cooked that day, like literally farm to table versus the middle 70s on up, the processed food companies have just churned it out, man. Just literally took over.
Yeah. Yeah, they have.
I mean, you just go to any American beach, right? And you're going to see kids, young kids, 10, 12 years old with dad bods, right? And here's what's sad, Anthony. 90-something% of those kids that you see, overweight, sloppy, foggy mentally, they're going to go through their whole life. You remember you just said how pissed off you were? Think about this. They're going to go through their whole life never understanding what their physical capabilities really are, what their mental capabilities really are, because eventually when they start that breakdown, they just go to big pharma. They're just going to get pills, right? They're just going to get, for their anxiety, they're going to get Xanax. For their other stuff, they're going to get Adderall. For their other stuff, they're just going to get this. And then a big percentage of them are going to get hooked, right? And then a big percentage of them are going to think that they can't live. It's wild, dude. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, and that's we sort of lost, a generation or two already to that. And, and so, I think that's why this sort of movement is so important, and just getting people back to normal health. And so they're not beholden on these sorts of medications, and they can just be healthy all the time, because we're supposed to be healthy. Our natural state, our default should be health, whereas right now it's not.
And here's the other thing. Let's share this with them, right? 2 things that the carnivore is superior to anything out there is, number one, it's the ultimate elimination diet, right? So if you do want to start to add in because I had the women, they were like, oh my God, I can't get rid of my kale. Like, I go, all right, we'll do it for a month. Right. I know. We'll do it for a month. And then if you want to add it in, you're going to see how you feel, you react. Right. Because if not, how do you know? It's the ultimate elimination diet. And so that right there should give people enough incentive to let me try this for 1 month, just 1 month. And here's the other thing I said, and you will naturally, if you follow my lead, you will naturally, probably within 1 to 2 weeks, depending on you, you will naturally fall into intermittent fasting. You just do. You just do.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I've, not really met too many people that have tried this and then said, well, that was a horrible experience. It happens. You see sort of tell these people that, every now and then, 1 in 1,000 people will just be like, oh, I tried it and I sort of didn't have good energy.
But I need to know more. I don't believe them. I need to know more.
Yeah, me too.
There's too much here.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people, they'll say, oh, it didn't work for me, but then you flesh that out and it says, oh, well, their autoimmune issues got better. They came off medications, they had better energy, they did all these sorts of things, but they didn't lose as much weight as they wanted to, as fast as they wanted to. And then you find out that they're still using stevia and monk fruit sugar and all these sorts of things. Yeah, well, alcohol is a big one. And, but even those people that slip off of it, like I have a lot of good friends of mine that was like, okay, well, try it. And they do it for a few months and they're like, wow, I've never felt better. This is great. But I really like drinking, and so that's a lot of the time that they do it. But then they say, okay, we'll have some, drinks every now and then. But then they think, well, if I'm going to drink, then I might as well just do whatever. It's all or nothing to them. It's like, it's really not. You can still drink sometimes if you want to. I mean, you're going to get the consequences of that, but it's better than, eating all the other crap and drinking as well, but that seems to be one that people slip off a lot for, but they all say never felt better than when I'm just doing meat and water.
100%. And even that, like you said, that one person out of 1,000, I would need to really look at their lifestyle for that window to be convinced. But that's how powerful this is. Yeah. It's absolutely like life-changing stuff almost instantly. Yeah.
Well, you're just getting rid of things that are causing harm and you're giving yourself more nutrients and nutrition that your body needs. It's, it's a pretty simple equation. And it's nothing special to it. It's not magic. It's not doing anything miraculous. It's just letting your body get on with it. It's just letting your body do what it's supposed to do, what it's designed to do. And then you feel how you're supposed to feel. And that's the problem, is that we've been so used to feeling like garbage for so long that we think feeling normal is somehow this sort of fake miracle, can't last, it's too good to be true sort of thing, which is crazy to me.
It truly is. But, that also goes back to, and I always go back to the personal development because it is what it is. But that also goes back to people's self-image, right? Mm-hmm. What you can build your self-image up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. So when they go back to the alcohol, when they go back to the junk food, now, because it's no different than somebody that has an issue or wins the lottery and in 2 years they're broke, right? That's all self-image, right? That they never built their self-image up to a level to where now they can not only sustain that level of income, but also build on it. They go back to what their self-image, that barometer, right? If it's stuck at 72, you can't operate at 85 for any length of time. You're going to go back down unless you build yourself up to 82.
That's a sort of just a lifestyle outlook sort of thing. If you just get gifted all that money, but you don't live within those means, you didn't do the things that got that money, earn that money in the first place, so you don't know how to build and amass and maintain so you just go, oh great, I can just spend all this. It goes away.
Same thing, right? With our physical body and our mind. But I have to tell people that if you give this 1 month straight up the right way, so quickly the physical will be a byproduct. The mental clarity that you will gain,
Mhm.
it's the ultimate gift.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the ultimate gift.
Yeah. So you were telling me before this as well that you do a lot of talks and motivational speaking engagements. So your poster behind you, the
Yeah.
monster
So
motivator.
before the
Yeah.
lockdown, we were
Yeah.
creating some momentum. We're going to relaunch now
Mhm.
the coaching programs, and so it's all personal development, right? It's all about understanding the mindset, and you really are the creator of your reality, right? Good or bad, and again, for me, it's you can't convince me at this point, being on this earth 56 years, you can't convince me that you can work and operate at your optimum level with your body not being at its optimum level.
Mhm.
I've just they're connected, man. They're
Yeah.
connected, right? And I'm out at events. When I go out to events, right? People always ask, you don't drink? I go, no. And it's either one of two things. It's either, and then they feel uncomfortable, like, are
Mhm.
you AA, or, do you have a
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah.
Or uh what, or how did you do it, or whatever it is. And I just say, it doesn't fit into my lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is wake up in any type of fog.
Mhm.
The clearer I can be, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine. I ran into him when I was like, 22. I hadn't been drinking for a couple of years at that point, and purely because I felt better. I mean, I enjoyed drinking. I certainly enjoyed drinking then, and but I just felt so much better when I didn't. And I played and performed so much better when I didn't. That it was just like, well, that's not even anything that's going to hit my radar on importance because I feel so much better. And so I ran into him, and he had gone through some problems like that. And he was actually now like an AA
Yeah.
counselor, and he was sort of helping with that. And I was sort of talking to him, and he was just like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you have a drink?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, man, I don't really drink. I don't drink." And he was just like, "Oh, okay. Oh, that's good, man. That's really good. That's good." And I was like,
Yeah.
"No, no, no, that's not because of that.
Right.
I just don't do it because like I just don't want to. I just feel better when I don't drink. So I choose not to drink." And he was quite confused. He was just like, he hadn't heard that before. It was just like, you either drink or you don't drink because you drank too much,
Because you
and
can.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
because yeah, that's
yeah,
exact there. And a lot of times what I'll do is, if I'm out, I'll just get like a club soda, right, and sip it. So you're not constantly bombarded,
yeah, yeah,
with it, because it makes people so uncomfortable, because they literally, because look, at the end of the day, you go out to events, and you're out in public. It's I forget so much, because it's never been an issue for me. But people have so much social anxiety, right, that they feel
yeah,
like they need to take this edge off, like they just to introduce themselves to new people. And it just, again, it's just, for me, it's so simple. Life is so simple when you really break it down into its basic form. And it's, again, are you escaping, or are you embracing? What are
yeah,
you doing?
yeah,
You got A and B, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I got to ask because I think that
Yeah.
everyone would be like, you didn't ask if I
Yeah.
don't ask. So what was the company you failed, and why were you sitting in jail facing
So,
8 to 10?
we'll start with the first one. I'm sitting in a jail cell at 8 to 10, looking at 8 to 10 years at 19 years old. So, uh, I'm born and raised in Jersey, Philly. My family's from South Philly, but I was raised in New Jersey. So, we were the original Jersey Shore, not those guys that you saw on TV. And so I was down in Jersey Shore with a bunch of my buddies, got into an altercation, going to a nightclub, 19 years old. And long story short, the ones that got the wrong end of the deal, the other crew were, the main guy was a off-duty cop in that town.
Okay.
So, and when I say, so it was a big thing, and got arrested and all that. And when I say if things didn't go our way, what happened was we were walking to the nightclub, they were driving. So they were drinking and driving. They got out, they pursued. That's what saved us,
Right.
from that. And that was such again, like the motorcycle accident, after that, it kept me out of so much more trouble than I would have got in before, right? Because it was an awakening. And the other was a restaurant. So I had a restaurant out here in Southern California, a burger joint, and I'm just better on this side of the counter than that side. And it just kicked my ass. And but I learned, what I realized is I I didn't follow my blueprint that I followed before with my other businesses and that I do now, is reverse engineer. I'm such a fan of reverse engineering, right? So when it comes to your business, reverse engineering the fact that first identify your weaknesses so you can fill those voids with the people and the systems. So then you can triple down on your strengths. And with my restaurant, I didn't do that. I thought that I underestimated the systems and I overestimated the people that I had in place. I'm the front guy, right? I got the people in the door. We had lines around the building, but I didn't have the right people in the back end in place. So I had to pull the plug. But again, it just the things that I learned, there's just not a university in this world that I could have learned. And then the relationships I've built and have kept since that with those has been absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I talked to a lot of my friends that are entrepreneurs, and it was actually funny. A guy I went to college with, he's from Norway. His dad's like a professor of medicine and a doctor. And so we were friends because we were friends, but also because we were both interested in medicine.
Yeah.
And he ended up going into entrepreneurship. But I remember when we were finishing up, we were like just for the last sort of weeks of college, and we'd just gone out like the night before, and we're all just hungover and feeling horrible. And we went to get to like this, I think it was like smoothie exchange or something like that, or no, well, it was one of those smoothie places.
Yeah.
And he was there, and he was just like, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I go back to Norway, because we don't have smoothies in Norway. It's just frozen all the time. Like no one's dumb enough to like get like a frozen drink, that's not going to work. So it's just like, well, what the hell am I going to do? I need smoothies because like these are the only things that help my hangover, and nothing else helps. And I get such horrible, he was saying that he gets such horrible hangovers that if he doesn't have one of these smoothies, like he's done. And
Wow.
so, he was saying, this is like, what am I going to do? I don't know. I'm going to have to like talk to these guys, like learn how to make them, like open up my own shop or something. I need smoothies. Like I need them. And so he went back to Norway. He was going, and this guy wasn't joking, because he ended up opening a smoothie shop in Norway,
Wow.
in middle of frozen ass Norway, in order so that he could have smoothies. And it was great too, because it literally was the first one in Scandinavia.
Wow.
But he was a smart guy, and he put a lot into it. And he had, his sister was actually dating an Olympic gold medalist skier, there's I don't know if it was a husband, but they've been together for like, a decade. So, same. And so he was just like, he's like, yeah, well, I'll do commercials for you. So it was like instantly, so it's like getting, and, like, that's their main sport. Like this guy's a major athlete in Norway. They don't have a bunch of professional leagues. So you're a gold medal skier, like, you're the business.
Yeah.
So you just happen to know Michael Jordan. He's doing your smoothie commercials for you, and so we ended up doing really well. And all of a sudden there's like all these different knockoff pop-up, sort of smoothie chains going on, trying to like drive him out. And he's getting able to expand it. When I was over there visiting him, he was telling me about all the different sorts of things he did. And he's like, oh yeah, and I was over here and I had one pair and I lost like 600,000 euros in that one, even though it was a good investment. It was doing well, but because of, these sorts of conditions, it went down. And so, all of the different problems that he had, every single one that he did subsequently, every single place that he opened after that was stronger for those for having gone through those trials and tribulations before that, because he knew how to fine tune things to get it better and better and better and better and become more and more successful. And so, I think people are so scared of failing. They're scared, they want to bubble wrap their children themselves and never have to go through, losing money or losing time or effort. And they're really missing out on a major part of life and a major learning tool, because that's one of the best ways you can learn and improve on the rest of your life.
Oh, it's the way nature was intended, right?
Mm.
It was, and I always say this too, is I use that verbiage too, wrapping your kid in bubble wrap. And I always say this, like the greatest gift that anyone can give a child, whether it's your child or not, is a bulletproof self-image, because you're going to teach that child that it can fish for itself. Nobody has to fish for them, because you're not going to be there forever. And I believe, listen, if you are a parent, your main job is to create a strong, functioning adult that gives back to society, doesn't take.
Mm.
I think that's, at the end of the day, that should be your main role in doing that. And again, this goes back to, we can keep going back, right? This goes back to the processed foods, right? That the kids are eating. So it is, you took this obligation on, you took this role on as a parent. And no, you're not off the hook. You should educate yourself on what this food is doing. You should educate yourself on the best way to give your child the best advantage. And I'm going to tell you, man, it's carnivore.
I think so too. And, because, yeah, well, like you say, I mean, it does behoove us as adults to help our children and the next generation. And, there's a bit of a weirdness going on there. Like they're saying that in England, there's a professor who should not be a professor, saying that you shouldn't be allowed to read to your children because some people aren't able to read to their children, or don't have the time to, or just don't care to. And so since reading to your kids gives such an advantage later on in life academically, that, it's just not fair. It's not fair that some people get to read to their kids and other people don't. I'm sorry, that is none of your damn business. And, and you're saying that, that's the thing, is instead of bringing everyone up and trying to find ways of helping those kids who aren't getting as many opportunities to interact with adults that other people do, that you want to bring everyone else down to that level. Well, you can keep doing that until you get to the point, some kids die in labor and or miscarriage, so we should just kill all children before they come out, or else it's not equal. Right.
Listen, the last 3 years, it's been beyond a clown world. It's just it's an absolute insanity. To the point where you're like, is some of this really theater? I mean, honestly, it's just insanity, right? But at the end of the day, what if there's one thing that you understand in the last 3 years is unfortunately, a huge percentage of grown adults are disconnected from what separates us from the animal kingdom, and that's our reasoning factor. We have an ability to step back and reason and say, does this really make sense, right? Does this really add up, right? And then be able to make the life decisions for you and for other lives based on that reasoning factor that we were gifted with. And unfortunately, in real time, Anthony, we've seen that a huge percentage of grown adults literally abandon their reasoning factor.
Yeah,
it's just the truth.
Yeah. And well, hopefully this is something that's this movement, I think, has gotten a lot of people to sort of think about things more critically and look at things in a more objective manner, and saying, well, hey, we weren't told the truth about these sorts of things. I feel so much better doing this way. All my bloods and labs and objective markers are all improving. My health is improving. I'm coming off medications. and that shouldn't happen according to, the known doctrines. So if that's not right, what else isn't right either? And so I think that a lot of people are hopefully coming around to that as well.
Yeah. And you never have to worry about a micro or a macro again in your life.
That's it too. Yeah, you just eat,
Yes.
Like what, how many macros is a cow worrying about, or a lion or something like that? They just eat, they
Just
eat.
eat till you're full.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
then don't eat again till you're hungry.
That's it. Oh, and you should be able to. It should, if you can't eat intuitively, there's something going on, right? Something
Yes.
disrupting your normal signals. It could be medication, could be genetic disorder. More commonly, it's because you're eating the wrong thing and it's deranging
Lifestyle.
your signals. That's it.
Yeah. 100%, man. 100%. But I think you're doing a huge service, man. Especially with your background. I love that because people want to call people out on the carpet that don't really understand and have the understanding that you have and the experience on the other part of that that you do. So I love when I've got guys like you and Dr. Jack Wish, right, step up to the plate and say, yeah, let's go. You want to debate? Let's go. Let's really go. Right.
Yeah.
John's not afraid to debate.
No.
At all. But the man knows what he's talking about. So.
And that's why he's not afraid. When you know what you're talking about, you're happy to talk about it.
Yeah. Simple. So I appreciate you guys, man, for running with this and getting it out there in the forefront, and any way that I can help promote, man, I'm all there.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thanks so much for coming on. I know it's late there, but I appreciate you taking the time out and meeting with me, man. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, man. Anytime. I'll jump back on, and maybe we can even do an episode on the true benefits, man, of resistance training. Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great. I think that's misunderstood, like the diet, like the carnivore. So love to do it. Sounds good, buddy. All right. Cool. See ya. Yeah. Hey guys, thank you very much for taking the time out to listen to what I had to say. If you like it, then please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and podcast. And if you're on YouTube, then please hit that little bell and subscribe, and that'll let you know anytime I have a new video out, which should be every week, if not more. And if you could share this with your friends, that would help me get the word out and let me know that you like what I'm doing. Thanks again, guys.